Well, I've never been to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but I know it is a very popular tourist destination. Now, Biggie, you're from close to there, but not Gatlinburg, right?
No, not Gatlinburg, although I spent many years in Gatlinburg. It's a favorite family destination.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
Dollywood?
Now, Dollywood's Pigeon
Dollywood's
Forge.
Pigeon Forge, that's past. We always stopped at Gatlinburg. I've never been to Dollywood.
What is Gatlinburg? That's not Dollywood, right?
No, Gatlinburg's
More
beautiful.
mountainous?
I don't know about more mountainous, but it's still a beautiful little mountain town. I remember we would go, and I loved the hotel we stayed at because this is late 80s, early 90s technology. There was a light switch by the bed. When you flipped it on, it turned on the television.
Oh, nice. Whoa. Okay.
So for me as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
that was crazy.
Oh, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It's mostly a lot of little shops and stuff like that, isn't it?
Is it? I
Fudge
don't-
shops? I went there when I was like 8 or 9. I
Okay.
don't remember it, but it's like a little village.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently there is at least there's something called the Gatlinburg Mountain Coaster, and I would imagine if you visited, you may have seen it or ridden it. And it sounds kind of like the thing that my wife and I used to get down from the Great Wall of China. It's a 1 or 2 person cart. You control the speed. You get a lever to control the speed and the braking, and you just run down this track. They say it takes you about 7 minutes to go down a mountain, go down through the trees, and you can reach speeds of up to 35 miles an hour, which is moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, on Monday, one of the riders there was ejected, suffering ankle, wrist, and head injuries and had to go to the hospital. The following day, however, the ride was reopened. This happened about 5 years ago. Another woman was tossed off, but according to the ride owner, she was not properly restrained. Now, I can speak from experience in China. Ain't no restraints.
No.
They just plop you on this thing.
Right.
But this is China.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
right.
Yeah.
no
We have
OSHA
more-
there.
We have more rules here
This
in
one,
the U.S.
This one does have seat belts apparently, or some
Yeah.
type of strap in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to tend that when these incidents happen, people messed with the seat belt in some way. Is what they always kind of imply. I don't know about this case with her. I heard she flew like 10 feet in the air.
Biggie's correct.
So
Yeah.
it's open. It's an open air.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's like a go kart without an engine. You're
I
just
see.
sitting real low on the wheels, almost.
I
kind
see.
of
I
thing.
see.
And could they be in serious trouble over this, or is this a
No, if they reopen the next day.
Yeah. They had somebody come out and clear they have somebody immediately come out and look, and they reported it to the county right away and said, we need to have somebody come out and check this.
I'd have a hard time getting on that.
Never heard of it happening before. I never heard of the ride before.
The my daughter is always. We've been to Disney World, of course,
Oh, yeah.
and when we're on some of those rides, her big fear is that it will get stuck, and then we have to walk down the stairs that are so steep on the mountain. She's concerned about getting off the ride because it did get stuck with us one time, but we just sat there for a minute and then we started going again.
Yeah.
That was her whole thing.
What type of ride?
This was Expedition Everest, which is a mountainous, like through a tunnel type of roller coaster.
It is a coaster.
Oh, it's a coaster. It's big, and it's one of their biggest. And it got stuck once, and that was her whole thing. Plus, we weren't together in the same car.
Oh.
I forced her to do single.
You farmed her out.
Yeah, we do. This is inside the numbers, but at Disney World,
Kelly Family Disney stuff.
yeah, you can do something called single rider, and it gets you through the line a lot faster if you're a single, because most people are in
Groups.
twos or fours.
Yeah.
So it's always me, my son, and my daughter. My wife never rides. So we go single rider, and they, when
Oh,
somebody,
so you're just one.
yeah. So they team you up. You're in a single rider line. So when they have an odd number of people, like 3,
Need one.
but they need one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my daughter, I was like, go with that stranger.
Climbing with the stranger.
Oh.
And her-
Disney approved strangers.
These are Disney approved strangers.
Oh.
Now listen, she was 7, so it was.
She could walk.
It
She
was,
could talk.
speak.
was just fine, I thought. But I was a little concerned. And when it got stuck, I turned around, I craned my head to look back at her, and she held her hands up like this, and I was like, "Don't worry, don't worry."
Daddy's taking care of it.
Said, that stranger who speaks no English will help you.
Will they?
In case of an emergency. And we were stuck at that point. You're talking about roller coasters having problems. Go ahead, yes.
About 20 years ago at Carowinds, when they first opened the Vortex, the one where you're standing on it, it started raining while we were there and while we were riding it, and they couldn't put the brakes on it. So it ran, I don't even know how many times, probably about 3, 4, 5 times before they finally got the thing stopped.
Whipping through the station?
Pretty much. It would slow down a little bit in the state because they kept trying to put the brakes on, and it kept not working. So we just, we're sitting there zipping by, watching people just like with this little shock on their faces, and they're just like, "Can we turn around?" I mean,
that's like a nightmare.
Boy, that is. Yeah. They couldn't do anything about it. Well, after you, are you glad you were on it because you got a great story, or was it scary?
Dude, I was like 15 years old. I was having the time of my life.
Now, thank you very much. The teenagers last week were in Florida, suspended for almost 3 hours when a slingshot ride, the cable snapped, and they were just hanging there for that slingshot ride.
I like roller coasters. I don't think I'd ever do the slingshot.
I'm too old for that. In my youth, I might have, but I will not do that ride now.
It's fun to watch those videos when people.
Well, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I did that thing once that was like a free fall at the water park here.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. That swinging thing?
Yes.
Were you attached to somebody or alone?
I was attached to somebody, a single rider. And
Need one?
I was by
Need one?
I used to go to the water park a lot by myself. And that was just really fun. Yeah, I was like on the prowl, trying to do
hey, ladies.
And I don't know why I rode that, and I forget the name of it. It looked like the St. Louis Arch.
The Sky Coaster.
Sky Coaster.
That's it.
They wrap you up in a cocoon pod
with another person. Yeah,
with someone that you
it's
hopefully
like they wrap
you
in a sleeping bag and then drop
That's
you.
right, and they lift you all the way up.
Are you next to somebody, or is it top and bottom?
Side by side.
Side by side.
Well, I said, can we go top and
bottom? You're on the bottom, sugar.
They said no.
We don't do doggy here at Sky Coaster.
That's why they shut it down. You do top to bottom. That thing's thing's in business for years.
And let me know how you want to adjust it. We got reverse cowgirl.
Sad.
That's a ride.
That's a little too wild.
That's a ride within a ride. That's a treat within a treat. That's getting an onion in your French fry.
When I crawled in, they were like, "Sir, this is not appropriate." I was like,
Get off of her.
Let's go. So anyway,
Sorry.
This young lady and I were riding it together, and they put us up at the top, and I've never been so scared in my life. I nearly pooped myself.
Like the first 12 feet are a literal free fall. Then the chain catches you and you swing.
Yeah, that's exactly
It ratchets you up slowly, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then you hang there by a cord for probably 30 seconds before it, and then they drop you. And it was a couple of seconds of you're just falling through the air. And
straight down.
Yeah, and I was like, my God, we're going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die right here next to and wanting to be under this person. And it was terrible. Now, then it kind of catches you. Now, you're still swinging, so it's still a fun ride. But that was the scariest one ever. These kids, that slingshot thing.
She tell you, can you stop screaming so much?
Screaming in my ear.
I didn't know I was screaming. Oh, yeah, you were.
I was screaming like crazy, and she was like, be a man, for God's sake. Tyler, you're talking about being stuck on a roller coaster. Go ahead.
Hey, man, T1. So we got stuck on Space Mountain, and when they cut those lights on, that room is smaller than a school gymnasium, and it is so cramped. It will scare you to death every time you ride it in the dark from then on.
Because the room is so small. That's the thing about you don't know how close you are apparently to beams not taking your head off. As a taller person, I've always been concerned about that on Space Mountain.
You should be.
I'm afraid I'm going to come out of there with the top of my head gone, and they'll be like, "Oh man."
So
want
if
a
you
photo
were
of that?
LeBron, if you were who's a real tall person?
Well, yeah,
Like a basketball.
Manute Bol.
Manute Bol, he couldn't ride. He'd
might
be
not
too
be.
tall.
I wonder how tall it is.
What's the max?
Safe for? Because thank you very much, Tyler. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
they have a height minimum. They should have
A height maximum.
They should have
on that
Manute
ride.
Bowl out there, cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
They might have a point where they pull people aside and say, look, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
For your safety.
For me, I'm surprised I said, look, Hoss, get out of here. This is not, But I make it through. I make it through on that one. Jeremy, you're talking about Sky Coasters. Go ahead.
Yeah, P1 here.
Thank you.
I worked for Emerald Point Water Park for like 3 summers in high school. And one of the years I was there, I actually worked for the crew that did the Sky Coaster and the water roller coaster they had for, I think, about a year or two, because it was electric. It kept breaking down, and that was the easiest job. But the Sky Coaster, my supervisor, yeah, I know, put an electric roller coaster at a water park. Who would have thought that?
It's ingenious.
It's electric.
Yeah. But my supervisor, his name was Jeremy, and for the Sky Coaster, whenever we started off, we actually have to test it. So one of our employees, we go up first to make sure it's working. Well, about a year after I left, I went back there, And apparently Jeremy, the supervisor, went up one time, and when you go there, there's this cart that you climb up, then they attach you and you hold on, and then they push it out of the way. Well, they did not push it far enough, and when Jeremy came down, he collided with it full force and was taken to the emergency room and had severe damage, and after that, they had to take it down.
Yeah, well, it's no longer there.
Yeah, I get
the
it.
Sky Coaster is no longer there.